This is a little song. You can't see the title at the present moment. This is a song for Margaret. She stands a long time ago. She's still standing today, you know. 930 years, you know. She's still looking proud, still in her own grounds for the world that's passing by. She's seen the living and she's seen the dying as the sun and the moon above passes by. You can feel and see the love from the windows of Margaret's eyes. She never cries. She stands a long time ago. She's still standing today, you know, 930 years, you know, looking into the world of Margaret's eyes. She stands so proud and never cries. This one's called Feel the Pain. Feel the pain and feel the sorrow of all the wars and the pains tomorrow. Look into the eyes of death. He closed his eyes and now he rests. Feel the pain and feel the sorrow of all the wars and the pains tomorrow. Listen to a lonely child cry. She cries because her parents aren't by her side. Feel the pain and feel the sorrow of all the wars and the pains tomorrow. Look into the eyes of death. He closed his eyes and now he rests. Feel the pain of all the wars. Feel the pain and feel the sorrow. A torn up world of cries tomorrow. Listen to a lonely child cry. His parents have died and not by his side. She's in a lonely world and she cries. Feel the pain and feel the sorrow of all the wars and the pains tomorrow. It's called Feel the Pain. Lost in a graveyard. I came across a shadow in a cemetery, a ghost against a stone, standing all alone. I couldn't believe in what I was seeing. His head was slumped and he was all alone. He turned his head and seemed to look at me. He had no face, but I could hear what he was saying to me. I am lost, I don't know where I lay. I asked him his name, and all he could say was, his name was on a gravestone. Rest in peace, John, you're all alone. I looked and I could see that gravestone. He came and followed me and laid down to rest on the gravestone. I heard him say, I'll say a prayer for you. Then he slowly disappeared within that grave. I walked away all alone. I heard him say my name. Thank you, Tracy, for finding my grave. I enjoyed that. Now I'll do one more. And it's called ISO Society Cat. I wrote this in with a friend of mine called Carl Harris 40 odd years ago. And it goes like this. I wear a flat bowler hat and square shoes. I wear a white suit to keep myself amused. I walk down the same street twice every day. I'll ask your friend, have you got something to say? Well, our cat's black and he don't live at home. He sleeps in the backyard with the garden gnome. Well, I wonder what he's up to when he's all alone. Well, he listens to Chopin on the gramophone. He's a real go-getter, a real top cat. You never see him sat on the garden mat. He goes to all the fancy restaurants and all the fancy cafes. Sure, he's got some funny old ways. He's a nice society cat. He's a nice society cat. Well, fancy that. And everything what's on this recording, you have to remember the speaking of my past. I was a young child Everything happened so strange at the age of 4 going up to 6. And these are memories, what are emerging outside my body now, of my memory. You can't take a man to court when it's the inner side of his childhood coming out. It's never been done. And what's gone on is wrong. Terribly wrong. It's treason against me. And like I said, the blood's in me. If they want to prove out, let them come forward. I'm not scared of them. I'm not scared of her. Her days are nearly over now. It's only a matter of time. There's more chance of her dying than there is me. Unless she's still trying to kill me or somebody is. It seems very strange, isn't it? You know, you're supposed to have an operation at the age of 2 and it was put off. Never had it. They knew I had gangrene and twisted intestine. And it was coming up to 7, I was coming up to 17. And then it got me. I used to have stomach trouble nearly all my life. It used to come every month. Twisted intestine 3 times. The obstruction was my umbilical cord to my intestine. It gone gangrenous and was hitting the rest of the body. And eventually it got me, and I ended up on the operating table for 5.5 hours. I was dying as I was going in. I was dying after the operation. The operation was a success, but I was dying. I was in hospital for around a year. So, you know, I hardly saw anybody, but I had people trying to kill me. And I never mentioned this one. It's about a nurse come. I had an injection. The sister used to come every morning about 8 o'clock to give me an injection. And she come to give me the 3 injections. Just before she got there, a nurse was there and gave me them. And as the sister came in, she disappeared like. Sister didn't see her. And I said, I've had me injections. She said, you can't have, John. She said, they're here on the tray. I said, the nurse has just given to me. She put the tray up on out the way of this shelf. She said, I'll be back, John. And she came back with 4 or 5 nurses, and they drew me out of this container room what I was in. There's 2 cubicles, one on the right and one on the left, and they took me right down to the bottom of the ward, and there was nobody in that ward except one person. And she wheeled me in, and I had a drip on my left hand. Right hand, sorry. And, no, it was left hand. Left arm. And anyhow, she turned and said to him, I'm just going to get some help. Anybody comes in, you press the button and keep your finger on it. Anybody makes a move towards him, you do the same. Anything, and you do not leave here until we get back. Then I had 3 epileptic fits. And then the surgeon Edie had to come, and they had to sedate me. And I was down for 5 hours asleep, I dare say, but when I woke up, I had 2 injections around the heart, so obviously I died. It was nearly successful, but I was still dying from the attack. They had to bring an heart specialist down to see if my heart was damaged in any way. And I got over that. And eventually I started walking. I couldn't hardly drink out. I wasn't hardly eating out. I wasn't eating out. The only thing I had was an egg cup full of water. About that much in it, just to keep my lips dry and keep my intestines dry from drying up and not being used anymore. And anyhow, I started to recover and I started to walk. And eventually I started to walk outside, and I went to a manhole cover. It was only about this high. And I couldn't pick my legs up to go over it. I had to walk around it. That's how weak I was. And anyhow, I came back into the hospital, like Aberloch ward, and cutting the story short, this bloke beckoned me into the cubicle next door to where I was and asked me if I'd empty his urine bottle. I said no. I said, the doctor said I cannot touch anything heavy bottles or anything like, nothing. He said, it won't take you. And in the meantime, there's a bloke just across the way there going like that, beckoned me over to there. And all of a sudden this nurse come. And then I said, what's the matter? I said, he's asking me to empty his urine bottle. And I said, there's a bloke just there. He disappeared by then. And I said, in the slush room. She walked over and locked the door and took the key. Anyhow, I came walking past. I'd gone for a walk and come walking past to go down the ward again. And as I was going past his cubicle, two blokes in suits came in. And they started talking to him. And he had the curtains like that. And he went up, one of the blokes went up and got his palm in his hand and slung him on his chest plate here, and he fell alongside the bed on top of it. And the other bloke just drew the curtains. Anyhow, I walked up. And I came back again. You're not talking long. And they made their way to the slush room. And they went for that bloke. There was a hell of a noise, throwing stuff and everything. And as I came out the door, they locked it and they tidied the sheets up and everything and just walked off like nothing had happened. And I walked to the end of the ward and I came back again. As I came back, there was a pool of pink blood with specks of white in it. The guy had a brain hemorrhage. And I remember watching Callum on the telly and Espionage and all this lot, MFI and all this lot. And what they must have done is put a syringe up his nose with cotton wool and disintegrated his brains. And when I came back, it was there. The other bloke, I never saw the body on the floor, by the way, but that's what had happened. And the other bloke, they didn't touch him. And they waited till visiting time had finished and they cut visiting time early. And they said there was electrical fault in the slush room, nobody could go in there. And there must have been an hour and a half tidying up. So it must have been a not very nice act to say. So I'm telling you something what's true. I don't have to lie because this is an house of God. Well, it used to be. This used to be my wife's church, St Margaret's Church, and that was the poem about it. And it's been an hard, it all looks rosy and that, but I can assure you it's not. What's been going on is wrong. It doesn't matter what you do, they're there to stop you. You know, there's a young lad on the telly the other day and he's on about 15 goals against them. And he did a good show. And he got 8,000 hits. I've got 20 odd songs on here and talking about my past and that. What's very, very interesting, I've had about 200 hits. My stuff is being sedated. Being sedated. I know who I am and what I am. And all I say is, charge back up. Now, I was on about a little bit about Lord Mountbatten. And it has to be told. And this is what was told me when I was a little lad. I haven't made it up, it's a little lad. And we was leaving this big house, whatever it was, 2 nannies. And the bloke I was with the bloke. And all of a sudden in the distance this bloke came, I didn't know his name, didn't know who he was. And it was Lord Mountbatten in his country gear. And he came over to Charles. He said, hello, Charles. And Charles said, hello, Uncle. I think it was Uncle. And he turned around and looked. He said, is that the little bastard? And Charles nodded and said, yes. He said, come on, Charles. Let's leave the little bastard on its own. I'm sorry for swearing in the church, but it's the truth. And God won't mind if it's the truth. So when I walked off, he was trying to skip and kind of flicking his back leg like an octopus. He didn't know which leg to move. And anyhow, he walked away. And I turned around to have a look, and this bloke said to me, he said, come on, John, leave him. He said, you know something, John? He said, he's a bigger bastard. And I just looked at him. He said, if it wasn't for his father's sister, he said, he won't be bloody here. So there you go. I can say a few more about this family, all of them. I don't have to say any more. If they've got an argument or they want to take me to court to do what they want, got the blood. You've been trying to kill me. The police know that. The police raided Lord Yarborough's all those years ago with the Lord Sheriff. So it makes no odds. What you've done is wrong. I apologise for swearing in the church, but God wouldn't mind, because he knows it's true.